Hey YouTube fans, welcome back. We've got a really good video for you today, and we just want to give a little bit of a quick disclosure that all we're trying to do here is provide you with some useful information to help you with trying to configure your solar power system. So when you look at your electrical panel, it'll say 100 or 200 amp service, and that'll give you a bit of information about what size inverters or number of inverters that you need to purchase in order for you to say, oh, I'm going to pretty much look at this. It doesn't necessarily mean you're using that much services, but it's what the city provides to you by default. So one really good way that can help you get a head start on knowing what size solar inverters to purchase is to have an electrician come to your home, do a little bit of a load test, and have them check the amperage that's used on each side of your breaker box when you're doing a load test with your heater on and other appliances so that you can understand how many amps you really need on each leg. For the purposes of this video, we shall be comparing the EG4 6000 XP and 12,000 XP solar inverters. Hey folks, so this part of the video we want to go into the technical specifications. So this is when you've already went through the process and understood what your load is, your maximum load on each leg of your main load center or breaker panel is what you might call it. And so we're comparing the 6000 XP 1 unit versus parallel units versus the 12,000 XP from EG4. So obviously you're getting your split phase across the different inverters, whether it's 1 or 2 or the 12,000. You've got configurable between 50 and 60 hertz. You have your amperage, which continuous AC current. When you plan on saying that, let's say you're going to have it partially connected to the grid in hybrid mode, but you're not pushing back power, you're really just taking that information or that power and say when your load is too high on the inverters, you have a little bit extra you can bring in, or when your batteries are low and there's no sun out for days, you can pull from the grid and charge the batteries up. You can also use a generator to do the same thing where it can kick on the generator automatically, charge the batteries off, top it off, and then shut off the generator. So there's functionality built into these generators or these inverters for that. So what you're getting in parallel mode, instead of 37.5, you're really getting 75. During these hybrid modes, 18,000 watts can come through between two inverters. It's 9,000 each, or 20,000 or 24,000 on the 12,000 XP. Really what you're going to want to look at if you're trying to do off-grid mode, or if you're trying to mostly use the inverter, is this next section. And for the most part, most of this is the same, right? You're getting split phase, all configurable as far as your frequencies. Your amperage obviously increases when you're going from single to parallel. And then, of course, that's your 50 amp at 240 volt. You have the same thing on the 12,000 XP, but you also have the option with the 208 volt line configurable as well. And whether it's the 6,000 or the 12,000, you can parallel them up to a certain number of units. By all means, I'll leave a link down in the chat for the manuals of both of these so that you can pull this information down directly and take a look at it. When the inverter is running, whether it's pulling from battery or it's pulling from solar panel, you're getting your 3,000 watts per leg, or you're getting, on parallel, obviously you're getting that times 2 legs on each inverter, 4 legs. So you get your 12,000 watts, and of course, your nominal output being 6,000, 12,000 at 240, 12,000 at 240, and so forth. Where this comes into a little bit of an advantage for the 6000 XP, especially in parallel mode, okay, in parallel mode, instead of having one where your surge capacity is 12,000 watts for 3.5 seconds and 11,000 watts for 5 seconds, right? In parallel mode, if you're using that for both legs, you might have the ability to take advantage, depending on the configuration, how you've done your electrical panel and everything else. Possible maximum surge up to twice that because it's 2 inverters, and 22,000 watts, or instead of 24,000, you got 22,000 for 5 seconds. And if you look at that on the 12K, the 12K actually has that a little bit less, but it's on one inverter. So instead of having two that are blaring noise in the background, you would have one. Mostly they're very quiet except for when they're charging the batteries or in a high load. That's when you're going to hear those fans kick up. So if you want to be able to put that in a large closet that's got an air conditioning area, that may work out perfectly well. Just don't stick a bunch of stuff around it because you don't want anything to, kill the inverter or catch fire. So just make sure you got enough breathable room in there. Most of this other stuff is pretty much the same with the exception of the switching time. If you want to know more about that, look at the manual for sure. Because I'm trying to make this video as short as possible. I just kind of want to scan through these. On the 6000 XP, you got 2 MPP charge controllers. Each one has 1 input. And of course, you have the 17 amp input current that's usable versus even though you can put it, up to 25, which is your short circuit, and you don't want to go that high. Here you have all across 2 units. Obviously, that's 34 because you're here and there. So you're pretty close to where this is on your 12K. But now keep in mind with your 12K, you got 2 MPP charge controllers with 2 inputs each. Mainly because it's going to do parallel at the inverter. Okay, that's why you have the increased amperages. All right, because now instead of having 2 devices where you're putting in strands, now you've got 1, and you got to put all that in those so you can parallel it, and they increase the amperage there. However, if you look at this is very similar. If you're doing parallel, remember it's not 50 amps in each inverter. You're doing 25 amps in each inverter. So that's maximum, and that's your short circuit value, an average of 34 and 35. So it's very similar, very close in comparison. The 6000 XP 8000 and 10,000 was maximum recommended solar input. 8,000 is what you're going to be able to maximum utilize out of that. That's on a single. Together, that's 16,000 instead of, that's just, you're getting 16,000 and you're getting 20,000 here. So both of those, you do have the advantage with this one on the 12,000 XP. This is where a lot of your advantage goes. Now, where the advantage, and you want to consider that, when you have low light, and if you have a whole bunch of solar panels, let's say you got 2,800 watts, okay, remember that with low light or very little light, that light and the power of your panels is going to be mostly diminished on the light that's going to be absorbed through the clouds during rain or snowstorms, etc. Okay, so if you're charging those batteries up and you want to be able to have that little bit of extra to go on, having that extra large amount of panels, maxing that out is going to be a really good thing because you might be able to get some charge going, into your batteries, or, just a little bit, any little bit actually helps. Just to keep that in mind. Last piece, and I'm trying to do this kind of quick, is I look at panel configurations. Okay, and I'm just going to reset this. So I'm looking at some solar panels from Signature Solar right now. We're looking to obviously purchase these, of course, and a large number of things so that we can do a big setup, do some installation videos, etc. So we kind of use this ourselves. So I created this Excel spreadsheet to help you go over what you have for Oh, I've got this solar inverter. I know that this is the inverter I need. How do I get the right panels? Because if you get the wrong panels and you try to put too much into it, you're going to blow your charge controllers out, right? You're going to hit the wrong amperages. You're going to have too much voltage if you don't plan it out right. So this kind of helps you understand how you want to try to configure that out a little bit. I'm not saying to use this as the Bible on how to do this. If you have questions, things of that nature, of course you can try this method, but I would always recommend also talking with Signature Solar as they're going to help you try to configure that system. And if you need links for Signature Solar's equipment or their telephone number, check down in the chat. Tell them that you saw my video and that, you were inspired enough to call. Even if you're not looking to buy anything, just let them know and say, hey, I saw that video. This guy's doing this crazy stuff. It's great. That helps me out, letting them know that, not only am I a customer, but I'm also referring other people. Um, so uh, you're going to take your information for your inverter and you're going to put that at the top of this Excel spreadsheet, right? Your MPP max of 25 amps, 480 volts, 10,000 recommended watts, right? And of course, you're going to configure these too. So you can look online, try to find the different solar panels, and then look at their specifications. They're going to tell you a certain panel wattage. They're going to tell you the amperage of the panels, the ASIC or ISIC. And you look at the different things that tell you, here's the amperage, here's your voltage that this can handle, right? So we say number of panels, whether I'm doing it in parallel, and if so, how many parallel inverters. And this here is one that I'm actually looking at on Signature Solar because there's this thing we want to buy, which is a carport, and it's 24 panels. So I need a way to do 24 panels, right? So I use this to try to say, okay, what am I going to use? How am I going to put that into the inverter in order to max out the inverter? So, and of course the carport requires 24 panels, and I don't want to blow anything up. So here's what I can use it for. After putting this in, I put in the number of panels, right? Here's the statistical information from the panels you're looking at. The number of panels you're looking per series string. And then of course, if you're going to do it in parallel, it means you're going to double whatever this is, right? But it's going to tell you got 2 series strings and you're paralleling them. That's what that's telling you. So at 410 watts, 11.5 amperage, and 37.5 volts, with 12 panels and 1 string in series, this is your current setup. You're good to go. You can buy it, you can implement it, and it's, you're looking at close to 5,000 watts. Now, in a 6,000 watt inverter, you're going to want some more than that. So perhaps you're going to need, whether it's a parallel or maybe it's not parallel, right? But even if you're going to do parallel and say you put like a combiner box in there, you want to know that you're not going to blow out things. So you say, okay, I'm going to have another parallel set, okay? And that tells you, okay, I got 2 strings of 12 each, 410 watts, 11.5 amps, 37.5 volts. When you're running things in parallel, per string, your wattage will remain the same. Your amperage will increase, okay? Your wattage will increase, whether it's series or parallel. So the wattage increases always. These change based off of whether it's series or parallel. And when in my spreadsheet, obviously I'm using a little bit of logic to know whether or not I'm going to kill an inverter. So if I said, oh, let me just add another 3, oh, okay, this is not a workable configuration, okay? So also, if you want me to send you this spreadsheet, or if you want to create it on your own, by all means, just go ahead and do that. Or if you want me to send you this one just as an example to use, not saying use this as the Bible, just put your information down in the chat, right? Say, hey, I want this, and tell me if you got an Twitter or whatever, and I'll reach out to you and I'll email it out to you. So I hope you like what I'm trying to explain here. I hope you like what you're seeing. I hope you're learning something. And if you do, please hit the like button. And of course, please subscribe to the channel because it's helping get this information out to as many people as possible. I'd love to share this information with as many possible to save people a lot of money from where they're having to take second mortgages to get solar from these installers who are charging them $40 and $50 and $60,000 for systems that you can buy today for 10 and under from Signature Solar and set it up yourself. Or hire an electrician to do the last parts. Okay, let's be honest. Save yourself some money, get a return on your investment. Don't get ripped off by the people who knock on your door and want to give you the cheap stuff without any batteries. I'm going to make another video about how to understand how much battery power you need, and how to configure those items. I'm also going to show you some reviews, and I'm actually going to do some videos on installing the inverters and setting them up. So please, if you're looking for that information, please again like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you can get notifications for future videos or live events that we're planning. And put a comment down if you've made it this far, just put a smiley face down in the comments, because this really is, it's a long video, but it's meant for really sharing the information. And thank you very much for watching, and look to see you on our next video. Thank you.